I think here's the thing. I think as it relates to right here and right now, like nobody wants Jimmy Butler or his contract right now. Maybe they'll want him at the trade deadline. But even if they want Jimmy Butler just to get off his money, that's where I think you're right. It's not they can't just trade Jimmy Butler. At this point they're gonna have to trade Jimmy Butler and an asset.
95.7 The Game.
This better be good.
This just in from Sham Sharani of ESPN. Free agent guard Anfernee Simons has agreed to a 2-year, $12.3 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. With a player option in his second season, Simons chose the Sixers over other suitors, believing his fit is perfect with the revamped roster.
Well, that's good news for the Warriors, isn't it?
You would think so. They don't have a ton of cap space left. You think that makes it more likely that LeBron signs here or with Philadelphia even?
Well, I need to know, like, if they gave him $6 a year for Simons?
Yeah, not even the mid-level.
Oh, my God. Well, it might have been portion of the mid-level, right?
Could have been. But again, it's one of those deals we talked about yesterday. Sexton signs for less than 10 per AAV. Simons signs with Philadelphia. And the Warriors are left sitting on the sidelines. I have to imagine that they were in on trying to get Simons. And it sounds like he chose Philadelphia.
How could they not get him?
How could they not get him? Because he'd rather go to Philly.
Well, give him $8 million a year, $10 million a year, $12 million a year.
But if you're a short-term guy and you're trying to play on a prove-it type of contract, wouldn't you rather play for a better team?
Yeah, I mean, I get all that. So, okay.
I think the Warriors were hoping that he could sign a showcase sort of deal.
Well, if Anfernee Simons is turning the Warriors down, there it is. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because they got their full mid-level. What was he making last year? He had to be making close to 20.
It was the end of his rookie deal, yeah. That's why the Celtics acquired him, because he was an expiring. I mean, he was in the same, I think, rookie extension class as Poole and Maxey. He was making like $20 million. And he took $6 per to go to Philadelphia. That stings. If you're a Warriors fan and you hear that Anfernee Simons is signing for 2 for $13 with the Philadelphia 76ers, I have to imagine they've been linked to him. I have to imagine he chose Philly over Golden State.
Well,
and if that's the case, I don't know who else they're going to be able to court.
Well, the other thing that could very well have happened is the Warriors have tried to keep Simons on hold, saying, hang in there. We got to wait on LeBron. And after a while, maybe a player can't wait anymore.
But isn't this, I mean, this is another part of the LeBron sweepstakes, right? Is he's waiting for teams to beef up their rosters. He's waiting for teams to clear space for him potentially. And in the process of doing so, maybe the Warriors lost out on a couple of guys that would have otherwise tried to go after. 888-957-9570 is the number. Anfernee Simons, a target that the Warriors and free agency have been linked to, signs a 2-year, $13 million deal, $12 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. How does that make you feel? I mean, it could get them closer to LeBron. 707 is saying LeBron's coming to the Warriors.
Great.
That means he's coming to the Warriors.
Like, we're at the point now where he better come. Seriously. Can you imagine if he doesn't come and LeBron, or rather, Draymond gets an extra year, and then they give Curry another year, and lordy.
You mean they do and follow in the steps of everything they've done so far this summer? I mean, they've brought back Horford, they've brought back Porzingis, they've brought back Melton, they brought back Kerr. GP2's out there. LeBron James is becoming a must at this point for Golden State, and it's tough because I think we felt that way yesterday, we felt that way the day before that, but every single time someone comes off the board, it makes it all the more imperative that the Warriors, who, again, can only offer him $15 million by all reports, they can only offer him that much money, that he chooses them. I mean, they're at the mercy right now of free agency, and every person that signs with a different team continues to confirm that.
Yep, it does. And like the other thing I'd be worried about if I'm the Warriors is, you know, their inactivity in a way is speaking volumes. Like they can't do any more for LeBron. You know what I mean? They've already done pretty much everything they can for LeBron. And again, what's he waiting on if he knows? If he knows, I don't subscribe to, well, he's just waiting to mess around till July 4th. I don't think he knows, and I don't think that's good news for the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't think he does either, and we're also about to find out how valuable that friendship is with Draymond Green. All right, Paul in Palo Alto has been hanging on patiently. Paul, I appreciate it. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great, guys. Thank you. I really like the show today. I'm kind of with Steiny. I'm a little bit fed up with the Dubs, and I feel like the Bay Area franchises have a self-esteem issue when it comes to they get horned in on this one player that's probably not even that much of a difference maker, and the whole rest of the free agency market just kind of goes right by them, and they're like, no, we're going to get this one guy, and it doesn't even matter if they get him or not because it's a 43-year-old whatever. And I'm kind of fed up, and I'm curious. I have a question for you guys. Is it a self-scouting issue, whether it's a not signing Tom Brady because Jimmy G just took us to the Super Bowl, apparently, quote unquote, or getting stuck on we can't trade Kuminga for Caruso, or Pods after his first year has some value, but now that seems to have fizzled. And then now Draymond is our trade chip. Last deadline, nobody even picks up our call. It's like I agree with Sonny as far as we don't really have any assets, but like how the heck did we get here in terms of how do we not have any assets? You've had 3 or 4 picks in the top 15 the last several years, and all we have is Yaxel, Lendenborg, and I mean, does he even have any value as far as in these trades? So, like, is it a self-scouting issue? Like, why are we so bad at cashing out on the few assets we have in a timely fashion?
I mean, that's a good question, but
well, could I just say, well, Poole was kind of an asset, and Wiggins was an asset, and they went to get guys for those guys, but it just hasn't worked out.
Well, but one of those players was traded for, who, by the way, like, was Andrew Wiggins not kind of a Paul George? I know they're in different stages in their careers, but the Warriors made a move. They swung a deal for Wiggins, who was damaged goods, and got a first-round pick with him, who turned into Kuminga. The problem is they did not hit on that pick. They didn't hit on Moody. They didn't hit on Wiseman. And they haven't had a whole lot of other first-round picks. Again, that's why we're sitting here saying that their most highly touted trade chips at this point are probably Yaxel. And I hate to say it, but Pods. That's kind of what they're left with because they moved on from Kuminga. Hield was brought in to sort of be a filler at some point. You know, Porzingis is $20 million worth, but I'm not sure if his value is very high. I guess you could move Horford, but like to me, those are veteran ads for teams that maybe next February are trying to beef up their rosters in advance of a postseason. Not teams that are looking at those guys saying, you know what, they can come in, start, and help us get to that next level. I mean, those guys are all off the board.
Who's on the board? Who's still on the board?
The Lendenborg?
No, the free agent board.
I don't know, but
beyond LeBron. I'm
going to take a call and then bring that up and we can get into it. All right, Joe is down in San Jose. 888-957-9570 is the number. Anfernee Simons is a member of the Sixers, was on the Warriors free agency board. He's now off. Who is left? And now they left with LeBron, and that's it. Joe, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey.
Okay, so these guys want to start calling in and yapping about how the Warriors don't do nothing, whatever. They haven't done nothing since they let Bob Myers go. I would have went harder at Bob Myers than I would have went harder on any player that we've gotten since Bob Myers has left. He is the catapult to this whole thing. And you can believe me or not believe me, whatever, but since he's left, the paint has been chipping off the wall. That's all I got. We got 4 rings. Let's just embrace them, and move on. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
So, Evan,
Steiny.
I mean, let me tell you what's unbelievable to me. And listen, Anfernee Simons he's a good player. You think he's a good player?
Yeah.
I think he's a good player.
He's averaged almost 20 points the last 5 seasons.
Right. And here's what his salary has been the last 5 seasons.
18.8.
22, 24, 26, 27. He just signed for $6 million a year. He just took a $20 million pay cut. They didn't want him.
He's making $500,000 more than DeAnthony Melton.
That's
this upcoming
unbelievable.
season.
I mean,
I don't know if his value's diminished that much. It's, similar to Sexton. Like, these guys aren't necessarily, game changers, but Simon's going to come off of the Sixers bench. I'm assuming he'll probably replace what kind of McCain and Grimes were for them. He's probably going to help them. I'm looking at some of the young talents that are in, you could call it Simon's class, that are available. The majority of them are restricted. So Hachimura, still out there, unrestricted.
okay.
At this
Is Hachimura unrestricted or restricted?
he's unrestricted.
Okay.
Technically, Kuminga's unrestricted.
Okay.
Tari Eason is a restricted free agent.
Okay.
Benedict Mathurin is a restricted free agent. And Peyton Watson is a restricted free agent.
Mathurin's restricted?
Yes.
So the bottom 3 guys are restricted.
And it does feel like, I don't know about Eason, but I have to imagine the Clippers want to bring back Mathurin. And I do think that the Nuggets, maybe unless someone like LeBron says, I'm choosing Denver, which, they're kind of like a dark horse team at this point in all this. Everything I've read tells me they would like to bring Watson back. He's, 23, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Finally had kind of a breakout season for them. And then the other guys are they're all veterans. The rest of the players that are available right now are vets signing. You're looking at Chris Middleton, Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook. I actually think...
Don't.
That's someone I would not be shocked if he's a Warrior next season.
Really? You wouldn't be shocked?
I would not be shocked. He plays, dude.
That's true. That is true.
And he's a vet min candidate. Bruce Brown, Gary Trent Jr.
What happened to Bruce Brown?
Well, he signed that, I think it was like 2 for 40. What was it with Indiana after the Nuggets won a championship? He's kind of been moving around since. I think he's now back to being a vet min player. Gary Trent Jr., Matisse Thybulle, Josh Okogie, Zaire Williams.
I like Okogie.
Kevon Looney.
Oh, man. No,
What? No, this is what's left on the board.
So, obviously you got to find out what the Houston Rockets would match for Eason. You got to find out what the Clippers would match and what the Denver Nuggets would match for Mathurin and Watson, respectively. I don't dislike Hachimura, but they need smaller players now, kind of.
I was going to say he probably fits where Lenderberg is going to fit, sort of as a bigger wing. At this point, they're going to need different bodies, and they got to fill out their roster. But I'm kind of with you, and that's why I'm not a big fan of his game. But
who's? They need a point guard too.
That's why Russ kind of pops to me. Again, it's like I don't think he's at a great stage in his career, but at this point, the Warriors are not choosers.
I think they don't view themselves as that.
I don't think the league does.
I don't either.
I think it's also interesting that take from it what you will, but Simons is a Bill Duffy guy. So the Warriors have one on their roster. His name is Brandon Pajemski. They have a relationship. I do think they were after him. And the fact that they couldn't get him for...
Who's Simons?
Yeah. Maybe they decided also he wasn't worth the full mid-level.
Right.
I mean, it would have been a disappointment if that was what you're going to give LeBron and then Simons takes all of it.
Right. Listen, the one thing we got to... You don't have to respect it or not. Or you don't have to respect it. But if Joe Lacob and Dunleavy are listening to the show, they might be sitting in their office saying, Steiny, Simon stinks. Like, he stinks. Like, he doesn't fit here.
But I think he's been traded 3 times in 2 years.
Right. And if that's the way they think of Simons, then I get it. But I got to believe we're going to see reports that they were sniffing around Simons and they just didn't get him, which is more troubling than paying him if you don't like him. You just can't get him.
Well, and that's the other part too. Is Simons a great player? No. Is he? He's probably fading a little bit. His value's down the last 2 seasons. I mean, Boston only took him to get off of Drew Holiday's money, because then they shipped him over for Vucevic, who's now a minimum player. But it's also like, if I'm Philly and Grimes just got, 4 for $50 from LA? Would you rather have Grimes for $11 or $12 million, or would you rather have Simons for half that? Along with the fact they just acquired a boatload of cash in Jaylen Brown. And I believe they also signed Dean Wade over from Cleveland. So you got some front court help. I don't know if they still have enough room for LeBron, but if I'm LeBron James, and again, this was the latest from Anthony Slater, who quoted Shams Charania in his most recent report. It's like, if LeBron is really looking around, if Rich Paul is telling teams that LeBron is waiting to see who is beefing up their roster, well, the Warriors may have been the front runners a couple of days ago, but based on the moves that other teams have made that are also in on these sweepstakes, it ain't close. The Warriors are not a team right now atop the table. And I think what they're banking on, and again, they could have this all under wraps and LeBron's just going to wait to announce it whenever he wants to that he's coming to Golden State. But they cannot sell, I think, the fans and LeBron on this is the roster for you. If that's what your pitch is, the Warriors are among these several teams we've discussed. They're towards the bottom, if not at the bottom of the list.